This video is on topic 7b, solving the quadratic equation by factoring. So, a couple things we need to look for before we start. We need to make sure that it's equal to 0. So, for example, number 3, this is already equal to 0. If it wasn't, I would need to do some adding or subtracting to move terms to get this to be equal to 0. So then I do what I always do, which is look for a GCF. So this problem right here, there is no GCF. So now I'm going to factor. So hopefully you recognize this as the difference of squares. I have a perfect square and a minus sign. So that means I have 1 plus, I have 1 minus. I take the square root of this first term, which is x squared. The square root of x squared is x, that goes here. Square root of 64 is 8, that goes here. So first I factor. Now I'm going to set each factor equal to 0. So this is one factor, x plus 8. I'm going to set that equal to 0. Here's my second factor, x minus 8. Set that equal to 0. And I'm going to solve. These are one-step equations. So for example here, minus 8, and I get x equals negative 8. Plus 8, and I get x equals positive 8. So this means it's going to cross the x-axis at negative 8 and 8. And you should spend the couple seconds that it's going to take on your calculator to check this. So to check this, you're going to go to y equals. You're going to put in x squared minus 64, hit graph, and a quick visual check. Does it cross at negative 8 and 8? Yes. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It crosses right here at negative 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Crosses here at positive 8. So we're not solving it by graphing right now, but we're just doing a quick check to see, does it cross at those 2 points? And remember, we can call these roots, zeros, x-intercepts, or solutions. It's where it crosses the x-axis. All right, second one. Again, before we start, we make sure it's equal to 0. So this one is equal to 0. Then I check for a GCF. I don't have a GCF, so I'm good to factor. Now, I always like to check my A to see if it's 1 and it's going to be my easy kind of factoring, or if it's not 1 and I need to do grouping, which is a little bit more steps and a little harder perhaps. My A is 1, right? My A, when I say A, B, and C, we're talking about the coefficient of x squared, that's my A. The coefficient of x is B, and the constant is my C. So my A is 1, my easy kind of factoring. That means right away, to remind myself it's my easy kind of factoring, I'm going to draw my parentheses and I'm going to put my x's right there, right now. That helps me remember I'm just looking for the two numbers here. And those two numbers are the two numbers that multiply to be A times C and add up to be B. So A times C, 1 times 21, and B is 10. So the two numbers that multiply to be 21 and add up to be 10. And if we think about that for a minute, right, I've got factors of 21, 1 and 21, 3 and 7. There's not a lot of factors. 3 and 7. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 plus 7 is 10. So plus 3 plus 7, and I have factored it. But remember, I'm not just factoring, I'm solving. The important word here is I am solving the quadratic equation. So I need to find out, what does x equal? So again, I take each factor and I set it equal to 0. So I have x plus 3 equals 0, x plus 7 equals 0. And these are quick one-step equations. Subtract 3 from both sides on this one. Subtract 7 from both sides on this one. Oops, negative 7. And again, you should take the couple seconds it will take you to go in your calculator, hit y equals, put in x squared plus 10x plus 21 in graph, and see, does it go through negative 3 and negative 7? Yes, it does. So those are my two answers. I have x equals negative 3, and that's a negative. X equals negative 7. The two places where it crosses the x-intercept. The roots, the zeros, the x-intercepts, the solutions.